Today on Sinders Playground, we're gonna do something a little different today. Where I'm gonna tell you my favorite top 10 movie soundtracks and why I like them so much. So stay tuned, find out who's number one. Hello and welcome to Sinders Playground. And as I said in the open, counting down my favorite movie soundtracks. And I'll tell you right now, there's nothing really modern here. All this stuff is like kind of old, but I think that's because we really don't get full-fledged movie soundtracks. That might be, you know, a artist will do one song on a soundtrack and everything else is just like instrumental or whatever, but a full like 10 track soundtrack with different artists, man, to me, at least from where I sit, is a rare thing, you know. So I think that's why like all these are old stuff, you know. But Also, just a heads up, those of you who follow the channel and who know me personally know I am a hard rock, heavy metal guy, so a lot of that's gonna reflect in the list. But without further ado, I'm gonna get it going. And I have one honorable mention because this soundtrack was on my list, but then I forgot an important one. I was like, oh man, I gotta make room for it. So so this got bumped out, but wrote the information down, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna mention it since I did write it, you know. And so yeah, I'm just gonna tell you the soundtrack, the year it came out, and the standout tracks from each soundtrack. So my one honorable mention is the Days and Confused soundtrack that released in 1993. Also a good film. What do you call it? And of course, a lot of 70s music here. Um, and This, not only the soundtrack, but I think this film kind of opened me up more to going back and listen to that classic rock era, you know. And like I said, a lot of bands on here, like I said, I wouldn't even heard of before if it wasn't for the soundtrack. Like um Fox on the Run by Sweet, Tuesday's Gone by Leonard Skinner, Love Hurts by Nazareth, which is an awesome song. Um Cherry Bomb by the Runaways, and Slow Ride by Frog Hat. Yeah, this soundtrack definitely opened me up to going back and, you know, catching up on some of these older bands and stuff like that, man. And like I said, every once in a while I'll pull not only the soundtrack out, but I'll pull some of these groups out, you know, like Fan of Leonard Skinner, Love Sweet, Nazareth, Frog Hat, The Runaways, you know. All 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 good bands. But now I'm gonna go to my number 10, and this is the Basketball Diary soundtrack. Released in 1995. Standout tracks for me are Riders on the Storm by the Doors, and this is the first Doors song I ever heard, and I was just captivated captivated by it. I was like, man, this is different, you know. And again, open the door, no pun intended, to me to this group, you know. And I think that's another reason I love soundtracks so much. Is because it would open me up to bands that I would never normally listen to or seek out, you know, and that'll be a definite recurring theme throughout this list. But yeah, Riders in the Storm. Probably my favorite Doors song, if I'm being honest, you know. But yeah. Um Another standout track for me is Coming Right Along by the Posies. Another great underground band. Love them. Strawberry Wine by Massive Attack, man. You know. Very, very good track. Love that. I've Been Down by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yes, he's done some solo stuff too, and like I said, I like his stuff. He's awesome, man. And a special note I'm gonna give to this soundtrack in particular because in between like every couple of songs, there's a little snippet of dialogue from the film, and then, of course, the Basketball Diaries is based on Jim Carroll, the New York legend, and yeah, just his writings, and how he's feeling obviously when he wrote the Basketball Diaries because it's based on a book, and but yeah, I like that too. Like if you can splice into like some snippets from the film, but no, but Jim Carroll's like, I guess you call it poetry, what have you, inner line in the soundtrack. I thought it was a great touch. And again, just um opened me up to who the hell Jim Carroll was. I had no idea who was him until I saw this film, and I don't even know why I initially um watched this film. It's probably because I think my art teacher when I was young uh told me it was a great film. I was like, okay, because I mean, this is like back in high school. I know I'm showing my age. I don't give a shit. But and we had a similar taste in film. So he said he said I should check it out, and I actually did, and I was like, wow, that was different, but I liked it. You know. Um, Going on. So number 9, I have. Hold on, I gotta look around because I can move some of this shit around here. All right, number 9, I have the Punisher soundtrack from 2004. Um, I have to say, no original music for this one, but I like the collection of songs they gathered here. And standout songs: Bound to Violence by Hatebreed, Ashes to Ashes by Damage Plan, and on this particular track, had Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains on guitar, and Slow Chemical by Finger 11, who those wrestling fans know what that track is. If you know, you know. Um, okay. Next I have what's number 8. 8 I have again. This is The One, starring Jet Li, and this was released in 2001. Uh, Again, has no original music, but I like the collection they gathered here, man. With songs by Awake by Godsmack, Down with the Sickness from Disturbed, Sinner by Drowning Pool, Last Resort by Papa Roach, and Paper Cut by Linkin Park. Uh, all those are bangers, and the rest of the soundtrack is banging too, man. I think little smaller bands are on it as well, but but these, all great songs, man. Like I said, very good compilation of songs. I like it, you know. And we're gonna move to number 7. 7. Hold on, I'm still looking for it. Oh, fuck. Sorry. All right, number 7. Have the original Matrix soundtrack released in 1999. Uh Another one, no original music, but I love the collection here, including Minefields by The Prodigy, My Own Summer by the Deftones, Look to Your Orb for the Warning by Monster Magnet, and of course, Wake Up by Rage Against the Machine. Uh Love the soundtrack, man. Like I said, I played the hell out of this shit, man, when this movie came out, man. Like I said, even though I heard all this shit before, but like I said, again, the collection and diverse groups. Oh, I should say diverse. Well, yeah, they're kind of diverse groups on here, and everything like that, man. But yeah, like I said, to me, a great soundtrack doesn't have to be all original music, man. Like I said, you could have a good collection of songs, and to me, that soundtrack's banging. You know. Moving on to number 6. Where's my number 6? Come on, man. Because yeah, my list was like all over the place. All right, number 6. I have. I put the wrong date for when they came out, but I think I know what it is. All right, this is the Spawn soundtrack, released in 1997. I want to say, yeah, 1997. Um, uh, this is a very unique and special soundtrack because each song has two bands performing the song, so it was a collaborative effort. And of course, probably my favorite track and standout song on this is Long Hard Road Out of Hell" by Marilyn Manson and the Sneaker Pimps. Oh God, I am a fan of Marilyn, but not only that, I think, well, just because my life in general feels like a long fucking hard road that I walk through on every fucking day. So that's why this song resonates with me. But that Trip Like You by Filter and the Crystal Meth, uh Kick Out the PA by Korn and the Dust Brothers, and For Whom the Bell Tolls. This is a Metallica song, obviously, but it's kind of remixed with DJ Spooky. Um, yeah, great soundtrack. I love the concept of having two bands work on a track and everything like that. Because you get two kind of styles, if you will, on a song, and you can reflect it, man. But again, I do love that Maryland song though, and the Sneaker Pimps though. Moving on, number 5, I have the original Crow soundtrack, released in 1994. This is one of my favorite all-time soundtracks. Standout track. I mean, the whole album's good, but the standout tracks for me are "Burn" by The Cure, "Darkness" by Rage Against the Machine, "Ghost Rider" by the Rollins Band, "The Badge" by Pantera, "Dead Souls" by Nine Inch Nails, "Color Me Once" by the Violent Femmes, and of course, probably the most popular song from this soundtrack, "Big Empty" by Stone Temple Pilots. Well, if you if you're a fan of the channel and are subscribed, I'm a huge fan of this film, and the soundtrack I love just as much. You might be wondering why it's 5, but you'll see why. Nah, it's a phenomenal soundtrack, man. I love it. And I love the film, and I will continue to go back to listen to this always. Uh Moving on to number 4. I have the original Resident Evil soundtrack, released in 2002. This is very unique in the way that not only has killer tracks, but Marilyn Manson wrote and composed the instrumental songs in this film, including the main theme. So I didn't even know he could do that, but it's awesome. Yeah, like I said, that first Resident Evil main theme, listen to that, and I was like, man, that's so dope, man. It's so cool, man. And Maryland came out with that, man. But besides that, standard tracks for me are Plague. Well, My Plague by Slipknot. What Comes Around by El Nino. Everyone by Edema. Somebody Told Me by Cold Chamber, and Invisible Wounds by Fear Factory. Like I said, those are all killer tracks, and like I said, none of it's new. Oh, I mean, written for this, but again, good collection of songs. Like I said, I love it, man. Oh, moving right along. Number 3, I have Judgment Night, released in 1993. Again, this is a very unique soundtrack because it's a collaborative effort for all the artists involved in this. The soundtrack combines metal with rap artists with each song. So I love this fucking soundtrack, man. That's why it's like above The Crow, because like I said, I am a metalhead, but I do have appreciation and listen to very select few rap hip hop artists. So the fact they made a whole album combining the genres, man, it was cool. And probably my favorite track is well, no, arguably my favorite track, Just Another Victim, performed by Helmet and House of Pain. um I Love You, Mary Jane by Cypress Hill and Sonic Youth. Another track, The Real Thing by Cypress Hill and Pearl Jam. um let's see, Another Body Murdered. That is by Faith No More and Booyah Tribe. And another one of my favorite, probably arguably another one of my favorite songs on this soundtrack is Come and Die by Therapy and Fatal. And of course the title track, Judgment Night, which is Onyx and Biohazard. Great soundtrack. If you never listened to it, I suggest you listen to it, whether you're a rap or metal guy. It's good stuff in there. All right, top two. And this one, oh man, I have the Freddy versus Jason soundtrack, released in 2003. So many killer tracks on here. I could list them all, man. And this is one album I can listen to the entire album without skipping a track. But nonetheless, here are some stands out for me. Include How Can I Live by El Nino, Sun Doesn't Rise by Mushroom Head, Army of Me by Chimera, Inside the Sink by Stone Sour, When Darkness Falls by Killswitch Engaged, The Waste, which is performed by Sepultura with Mike Patton of Faith No More on vocals. That's probably, I don't know if that was made for this soundtrack or was that just a Sepultura track. But regardless, I love it and I love the album. And film, not so much. But the album was killer and probably one of the best metal soundtracks ever concocted, in my opinion. Now, going to number one. My number one, my favorite soundtrack of all time for Cinder is the Queen of the Dam soundtrack, released in 2002. This one has a mix of existing songs and original songs, but the original songs were all written by Jonathan Davis of Korn and sung by different vocalists. Interesting side note to this, when I was doing my research for this, what do you call it? Jonathan Davis was going to sing, but his label told him he couldn't. So that's why he said, all right, I'll just get some of my friends to do it. And he did. And those are the standout tracks to me of this soundtrack, including Not Meant for Me, with Wayne Static on vocals, System with Chester Binghamton on vocals, Redeemer with Marilyn Manson on vocals, and my favorite song of the entire album probably is Forsaken with David Durain from Disturbed on vocals. Also, Slept So Long with Jay Gordon of Orgy on vocals. So, yeah, killer soundtrack. I love it. It's awesome, and even like the movie too. But that soundtrack is just phenomenal in my opinion. And besides the songs I just mentioned, they do have some, like I said, already released tracks. Like I think there's Disturbed song, Papa Roach song, and a Maryland song as well, I think. I don't have the list in front of me right now. But yeah, that is Cinder's favorite soundtrack. So like I said, it's a little different today, and hope you guys like, and let me know if you want to do more music stuff, especially dealing with metal, because I'm always down for that. Like I said, obviously I'm filing solo today, so even though my co-host is not a hardcore metalhead like I am. But so if you want to do like, let's say Cinder's all-time favorite metal bands or Cinder's top 10 albums or something, let me know in the comments. Definitely. Or you could just message me on Instagram at Cinder666. Like I said, I post about my YouTube channel, geek news and cool shit I find on the internet. So you can get in touch with me over there and also on here. So go in that comment section, but that is all for me. If you wouldn't mind, if you're new here, would love a sub, likes are always appreciated, and comment as well. As I close this out, there should be a video recommendation on the bottom left, and on the bottom right is the sub button. So yeah, thanks for listening, and I am Cinder, and I will talk to you guys later.